This is the CHRILLCAST. I'm Chris.
And I'm Will.
I'm David.
And David, today is FACEOFF Friday, and before you and I get into this competition of wits here, why don't you tell everybody about your channel before we just turn everybody away from the podcast?
Of course. Well, I am a new YouTuber, and I cover anything Atlas, Shin Megami Tensei, Persona. I really like what I do, so if it seems interesting to you, check it out. I'd appreciate it.
Go subscribe, youtube.com/DavidCast JRPGs. That's DavidCast JRPGs. And check out his 13 Sentinels video. I almost lost my brain there for a second and couldn't find it. So, so today is FACEOFF Friday, and we're not talking about a dude with a cigar with a pipe.
Or are we?
I guess maybe. I don't know. If that's what Will wants, he's the judge.
Yeah,
no.
exactly.
So for FACEOFF Fridays, we have a prompt and a debate. And for today, Will is the judge, so this is going to be weird. We got the guest is going to face off against me, and I'm not going to play nice, so there's that. The prompt is, which game in the Persona series would be the best for a brand new player?
Yeah, which I am. So this is essentially them pitching me their favorite game or what they think is the best game for me to start with.
Exactly. And then so basically what's going to happen is Will's going to pick one of us to go first. I'm pretty sure he's going to stick it to me and say, you go first, Chris, because he always likes to make me mad. But he's going to choose the order.
No, I have to do it. I wasn't even thinking about it.
And then so essentially we're going to make our case within the debate. I'm going to defend my side, and Dave's going to defend his side. David is going to defend his side. Will have the opportunity to ask each of us a question directly following our arguments being made. Following that, we'll each have a closing argument in the opposite order, so whoever goes first will go last in the closing arguments, and then will pick a winner based on what he hears, or he'll throw out the argument altogether and just say we either both rock or we both suck. So you are allowed to object if we get off topic during the middle of. So David, if I get way off topic, you can object, say that's not relevant, and Will can either keep it or throw it out. So who's going first, Will?
You are. I mean, you already called it. So
I'm gonna pick Persona 5 Royal as the best starting game for a brand new player, and I have a lot of reasons why, none of which are why I love it. But David, which one are you going to be defending?
Persona 4 or Persona 4 Golden, for a lot of different reasons as well.
Now that it's a little more widely accessible, huh?
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
Okay, so I guess
I'm sure we'll have a lot of points in common.
That's probably true.
Because of our picks.
Yeah. So Persona 5 Royal, the biggest reason I can state and right in the get-go is Persona 5 is one of the most popular games in any RPG series ever, especially the Persona series. It's the most widely purchased and the highest selling Atlas game, I think, of all time, of all the Atlas games. I could be wrong on that, but I think that's the case. It's an updated high-res HD version of the most popular Persona game, and it's on current hardware, so you don't have to go back in time and get older hardware to play it. It's not quite on PC, so you can't play it there yet, but you do have PS Now, and hopefully Sony will be smart enough to bring it to PS Now at some point. But in the meantime, the PS4 has over 100 million consoles out there. I doubt there's even 100 million JRPG players in the United States alone. Probably not, since there's only 300 million population. So think about that when you think about 100 million PS4s being out there. That means that pretty much everybody who wants a JRPG probably owns a PS4. So if you are new to the series and you like JRPGs, you probably have a PS4 and you can buy Persona 5 Royal today, tomorrow, the next day. It's available. You can buy it. And with that being said, it's on the most popular console and it runs really well. It has high-res HD graphics. It's got all the quality of life improvements you could want in a JRPG for a turn-based combat system, and it's got a lot of options of things you can do throughout the game. So like somebody like Will, who gets distracted in Breath of the Wild doing all the little various tasks, this game, what's nice about it is you can get distracted doing all the alternate tasks, but because it's on a days system, you will get to the end regardless of how many things you distract yourself with, because there is a linear timeline that you cannot skip. It will eventually get you from start to end, no matter how many things you distract yourself with, which is true of all of the modern Persona games. But Persona 5 is very streamlined, and it's very easy to get into and read the story and the narrative, and the characters are pretty relatable, and it's easy to find other people who will like it and talk to you about it, unlike some of the older games which are a little more niche. This game is widely popular, and it's kind of ironic that Persona 3 is the game that's in the background right now while I'm talking about Persona 5, but that's okay. I have some more points, but I think I'm going to call it. That's good. Persona 5 is definitely Persona 5 Royal, being that it's the latest entry of the most popular game in the series. That's the one I would start with.
Okay.
Cool. Very
Sorry.
good points.
Yeah. So my question for you, Chris, is what is your recommended amount of time for each play session?
Like, if you were to sit down and play like one day, or are you talking about like how many hours to beat?
No, like, say you have some time to kill. What is it recommended? Like, what do you think is a sweet spot before you get sick of it? If you have all the time in the world, do you play the whole thing, or would you recommend only like 1 hour play sessions?
So the nice thing about Persona 5 is if you don't have a lot of time, you can just do a social day and just do like social events in the game. Or if you have a lot of time, you can sit down and play through a dungeon, right? So like you have options to go back and forth, and this would be applicable to any of the Persona games. But the days system allows you to do like social things on one day when you don't have a lot of time to play. Like, let's say I've got 30 minutes today to play Persona 4 Golden, which is actually something that happened. I spent about, 20 minutes going through 3 days of the game, which would apply to Persona 3, Persona 4, Persona 5, unless you hit one of the unskippable cutscenes or unskippable game parts where they're literally hand-holding you through something that you can't skip. And in that case, you would kind of be stuck. But for the most part, at any point in the game, you can just say, all right, I want to play this day. I got like 10 minutes to kill, and you can do several things and then save and exit the game, and you're good. So like, you can pretty much vary it by how much time you have.
All right, David, you're up.
All right, cool. So yeah, not just Persona 4 or Persona 4 Golden, doesn't really matter, but I'll start just as you did with Persona 4 Golden is more accessible, so I think that would be the choice. It's playable on Vita, so yeah, but it's also playable on Steam. It got released recently in June for Steam, so who doesn't own a PC, huh? So everyone can play this game. It's not hard to run or anything. The game has beautiful HD graphics on Steam. It is an older game that came out initially on PlayStation 2, but it looks really good. It aged really well. The art style more than makes up for the average graphics of this game. The reason why I always pick it up first for my top game to start with is because of the story, because I think the story of Persona 4 is going to attract anyone who's not necessarily into this genre of games initially. Like, it's simple, it's attractive, and it's the story is just, you want to know more about what's going to happen. It's easy to get into, it's not hard, there's nothing hard to understand, it's simple and it works. So yeah, that's one of the biggest reasons why I feel like it's a better choice than the other titles in the series. It's just how simple and attractive this series is. And also for the gameplay aspect of this game, anything that you mentioned about the gameplay sessions, the social links, stuff like that is applicable to Persona 4 as well, since those games are the most similar in the series, I would say. Persona 4 is just, in my opinion, on the aspect of social links, just an upgrade from Persona 3, and just simple enough to be more accessible to newcomers than Persona 5 is a bit more going in depth about certain aspects of the games, like the dungeons, for example. They're a bit easier and a bit simpler in Persona 4. Does that make them better? I don't think so, but I do think that it makes them a bit more accessible, especially for the story. And yeah, that's the biggest arguments that I have for Persona 4. Like, if I have to compare it to 5, it's just that I feel like if you don't necessarily have to be a massive JRPG dude to enjoy Persona 4, while it's going to be more of a challenge with 5, I would think. But both are amazing picks, honestly. I probably shouldn't say that in a debate, but hey, those both are great picks.
Okay.
I would actually second that. I would say both are great picks, but mine's better.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Will.
So I don't have a question for you. So you just want to do your closing arguments.
Yep, and we go in opposite order. So, David, you got to close it out first.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter who you are. You might not own a PS4, but you do own a PC, so you got a reason why Persona 4 is a better choice than Persona 5. And also, yeah, that's it.
It's more
That's it.
accessible, huh?
It
That's his
is
closing
way
argument.
more accessible. It is way more accessible. But for the reasons that I mentioned previously, story and characters also are great. It's a great game. Great place to start. Maybe it's because it's been one of my first games as well. So maybe that's the reason why I tend to pick it up first. But hey,
While I will concede that Persona 4 Golden would play on a potato, Persona 5 Royal is still the one I'm going to recommend because it is the game that will most likely cross generations in console gaming space, and the bulk of people who own or want to own Persona or JRPGs are probably already playing PlayStation or Nintendo if Atlas ever picks that up. And it's the prettiest game by far. It's the prettiest game to look at. It's got the most stylish menus. It's got the most creative dungeons, which actually builds off of Tokyo Mirage Sessions, if you know what that game is, where they have kind of almost puzzle Zelda-ish stuff. It's not quite Zelda, but it is puzzling like Zelda, which is something which would appeal to like somebody like Will, who likes Zelda. And they're not generated dungeons like Persona 4 Golden and Persona 3 Portable, which have it essentially is generated during the game, and then it doesn't change once the game started, but it is generated like very similar textures throughout the whole floor of whatever floor of the game you're on, versus Persona 5, which has a custom, never redone dungeon where you're in the same dungeon no matter how many playthroughs you've been through.
Yep.
So there is more not consistency, but it's better to look at, and the dungeon design is more well thought out than Persona 4 and Persona 3. And clearly neither of us recommends Persona 2 and 1 for reasons we've discussed previously, Will. So
they're great games that
great games,
not really accessible, and yeah, they didn't age that well either. So
while I will slug through them and enjoy them, not everybody will.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
Exactly.
at least not for the first game. Yeah.
Persona 5, that could be your itch, and then you could jump into 4, 3, 2, 1, all of the games. So
Yep.
And then eventually you get bored of Atlas not releasing new ones, and you play Tokyo Mirage Sessions. But I recommend Persona 5 Royal. It's definitely the easiest one for a brand new person to get into, in my opinion, despite that 4 is also my favorite. All right. Will, make a decision.
All right, so this is really hard. So you guys both make really good arguments, and the thing is, I could both side and also go against both of you. So before I make my decision, I guess I can kind of just explain why I like both of yours, and also like where I can see the fault in both. So for Persona 4 Golden, why I like that one is it is more accessible to me. So I don't have a PlayStation 4, so being able to play that one on PC is great. Obviously, because I don't have to buy any new system. It's the easiest game to get into from that perspective. And you made some good points about how maybe it's a little bit simpler, and it's not as maybe a little bit simpler mechanics for JRPG compared to Persona 5. And that's good for me because like I'm not used to this kind of genre. So not only would I be getting into this series for the first time, I'd also be getting into the genre. So I can see that being a good point. However, I don't think most of the games are on PC. So if I got really into the series, I would be locked without buying into a PlayStation ecosystem. So I can see how just going with Chris's suggestion makes the most sense, because right out the gate, I'll have the PlayStation 4 or 5, and then I already have the game that is probably a really good one to start with. And then if I end up loving the series, I can go ahead and pick up a couple other ones, and hopefully some of the newer ones that will come out eventually. So I don't know. I think I'm going to cheat and say that you both had great arguments. Because honestly, like, it really does depend. So I'm unique. So like you said, there's like 100 million people who have a PlayStation 4. So those people will probably be like, I'm going to pick up the newest one. That's probably going to be the easiest way for them to enter into the series. However, for a player who doesn't have the newest or doesn't have a PlayStation 4, picking up Persona 4 Golden makes the most sense because you don't have to buy anything new. So yeah, I think I'm going to uphold both of them because I think they're both good suggestions. However, for me personally, I'm going Persona 4 because I'm actually going to buy that game.
It's such a good value too, like $20. Like I can see it's more accessible and is less money, but I do think that the bulk of people who are willing to play this game, the series of games, have a PS4 already.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like I'm almost nervous to get into the series because I'm like, oh man, then I have to have a PlayStation.
Not for a while. They don't usually jump into the next gen hardware until it's like almost dead.
Yeah, that's true. Yep. Well, there's so many PlayStation 4s. Hopefully, in a couple of years, it'll be really cheap to get it. So
I'm sure that the PS5, when it becomes more readily available, the PS4 will just start going.
Yeah. Let's hope.
Anyways,
right,
anything else you guys want to say?
No, it's good.
Is there a place where you can buy all of the games in one package, or like on one system, or no?
Nope. Atlas.
Yeah. Okay.
Your closest option would have been the Vita.
Okay.
Because
you can buy the PSP games and 3 and 4.
You can get all of Persona 1, 2, 2.5, 3, and 4 Golden on the Vita.
Yeah, exactly.
And then 5 is on the PS3. And PS3 has most of the games too, because you can get 4 not Golden, 3 FES, 2 Eternal Punishment, and if you have a PlayStation 1 disc, you can play the original Revelations Persona. So technically the PS3 can play everything except the PSP remake of Innocent Sin. So if you had a PS3 and a Vita together, you could play all the games.
It would rule the world. Okay.
Persona 5 Royal and the spin-offs that weren't on the PS3 gen. So yeah, there's no way to really play all of the games on one console. You're not going to get a Master Chief collection or like a Persona Fool collection or something. It's probably not going to happen, but it would be cool. No. I would gladly pay.
Yeah, of course.
I would pay $100 for a Persona collection.
It won't happen, but it would be cool, and I would pay as well.
So, anyways, go, if you have not already done it, subscribe to David's channel. He's struggled through 3 hours with us at this point. No, he's a cool dude, and I definitely appreciate him even more now that he's been on our podcast and I've gotten to talk to him. So
yeah, it was great. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man.
And 2K subscribers by the end of the year for Dave. Let's make it happen.
Oh yeah,
hope so.
As always, I'm Chris,
and I'm Will.
I'm David,
and we will see you
on the next CHRILLCAST. Bye, guys.
Hey, wait.
Bye.
David is supposed to sign us off. Will, we messed up.
Yeah. Oh, okay, fine. Go ahead.
Well, thanks for having me on, guys, and see you next time.
You got to say the word, dude.
Bye.
No.
What word?
You got to say the CHRILLCAST.
Oh, the CHRILLCAST. Well, this was the CHRILLCAST. My name is David, and see you next time, guys.
Sounds good. It's all good.